on tonight's UAP News Show. David Grusch is back. What's next for disclosure? JFK Files finally unsealed, but what do they reveal? Radar unlocks secrets beneath Giza's Great Pyramid. And Mars update. NASA finds organic compounds and the search for ancient life continues. Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie. We are back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP News Show. I am stoked to get started and riding solo tonight, so let's jump right in and talk about it. Up first, David Grusch is back. What's next for disclosure? Remember David Grusch, the high-level intelligence officer turned whistleblower who shook the world back in 2023 with claims of secret UAP retrieval programs, non-human craft, and a massive government cover-up? Well, we haven't heard a peep from him since mid to late last year until now. Representative Eric Burleson has just announced that David Grusch will be joining his team to help lead UAP investigations. That's right, Grusch is officially back in the fight for disclosure. But that's not all. We also have a new statement from Grusch himself about this move, plus major news about a closed-door skiff briefing in April with some of the biggest names in the game. Grusch, Elizondo, Mellon, and Arrow. What could they be discussing behind those classified closed doors, and why now? Buckle up, because this is about to get very interesting. A tweet from Anna Paulina Luna says, I spoke to Representative Eric Burleson, and he will be bringing on Grusch to advise him on investigations. So he's back, baby! Woohoo! Yay, I'm so excited to hear about this. Grusch has been mum is the word since, like, I don't know, mid to late last year. He was supposed to come out with an op-ed, but nothing ever came of that. And then I heard something about a book deal, so I'm not sure if those two things are related or if I'm just conflating. But I don't know about that op-ed happening. Maybe it's not happening. Who knows? Either way, now he's back in the game, working with Burleson, advising on UAP stuff, and I'm definitely happy about that. All right, in this next clip from Ask a Poll, we'll hear from Tin Burchett, who says that hiring Grusch should, quote, get us around the classification stuff, end quote, on UAP disclosure.
Hey, brother.
Hey, sorry, man. I've been busy all morning. I'm in between. I'm getting ready to pull up on another one. Talk fast.
Yes, sir. I was just wondering, have you heard about, has the UAP caucus hired David Grusch? Or is that oversight committee?
I heard it was, I saw something on it. One of the members was talking about it. And I'll tell you who could tell you is,
Burleson, right?
Yeah, he's the one who's saying that. And I'm not saying it didn't happen, because it seems like it did, but I've had so much go on here the last few days. I've been kind of tied up with everything, but yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, I've tried to call him and I've sent him some texts. He might be doing family time, but I'm curious, was the effort to try to hire him for the oversight committee, was my understanding?
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Do you think he can make a difference? Have you guys worked out the classification, his...
It seemed like that would get us around the classification stuff, but I don't know.
But do you know if he'd get his clearance back?
I don't know. I'll go back and I'll read some of the stuff. How about this? If I find anything in it, because I'm on like a group text,
Cool.
where all this stuff is, and I'll just have to go back and research it if it's in there. I don't know if it's in there or not. All right.
Well, no, and I figured this is what you were going to say. And I did want your opinions, and I do want to talk to you.
But I mean, the approval to hiring is who I'm trying to think of.
Yep, that'd be Comer. And I think I think they worked on him and got him to greenlight it. Are you feeling good about the Secrets Task Force? Did you have any reaction to the JFK stuff?
I just think I knew they were going to release volumes. I mean, I just envision the warehouse in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
right?
Of stuff, and in those files is everything, stuff that's been disproven, stuff that's truthful. And what I'm afraid will happen is you'll just get so much stuff that has that was disproven, but you got to go through it to get to it. You know what I mean? And then,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
they'll have, oh, this Cuban said that he killed Kennedy. And, you know, so, hey, I'm getting ready to go in this thing. Let me holler back.
You got a day job. Do your thing, brother. Appreciate you.
See you, bye.
I don't know about you, but I love hearing like casual conversations like that with Matt Laszlo just calling up Timmy on the phone and be like, "Hey Tim, what's going on?" Tim's like, "Yo, bro, I'm good. How are you?" You know, like it just sounds like such a cool, like casual thing that they have going on here. So shout out to Matt Laszlo and Askapole UAPs for bringing that kind of audio to us so that we can hear it. All right. In this next tweet from Joe Kalil, we have a new statement from UAP whistleblower David Grusch on Representative Eric Burleson hiring him to be on staff that says, "I'm both immensely humbled and deeply honored to join Congressman Burleson and his amazing team of professionals in pushing for government transparency," said Grusch. "The public is rightfully demanding to know the truth, and it is my true privilege for me to serve the people of this country once again. I will use all my expertise to support Representative Burleson and help the U.S. Congress restore full oversight while enabling the legislative branch's ability to investigate and hold those accountable who have broken the law and lied not only to our Congress, but also to the Executive Office of the President, Director of National Intelligence, and Department of Justice." Way to go, Grush. Way to go. Very excited for this. All right, let's keep it rolling. As if that was not exciting enough, Askapole UAPs did not stop there. They also came out with this tweet that says, "News, April skiff briefing with David Grusch, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, and Arrow is already scheduled. More details along with the full exclusives coming ASAP. Stay tuned to Askapole UAPs for the latest." All right, let's take a look at that clip now.
Hey, what's up, fam? Quick little update here from the beautiful U.S. Capitol on a bright spring day. Got some news for you all, some pretty big news. I just talked with Mr. Burleson about him onboarding Grusch. So yeah, that's happening April 1st. Well, then, this is the news. End of April, they want to have a skiff briefing with David Grusch, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, and Arrow. Luna confirmed that to me, so did Burleson. I guess Elizondo and Mellon were in town yesterday and they all met. So yeah, wait for it. I'll be dropping those exclusives here in a little bit. Also, talked to Jim Himes, the top Democrat, on Intel about the hiring of Grusch, and guess what? He knew his name and says he's looked into the allegations. I did not expect that out of Mr. Himes. He also says hi to all of you. All right, peace.
Once again, shout out to Matt Laszlo for bringing us his little selfie videos of, news announcements to us. I always find it cool when he's just like walking around Washington on his phone, just talking to us like super cash, it's all good. So yeah, I'm super excited that David Grusch is back in the game, going to be advising on UAPs, helping out Eric Burleson. I'm sure that'll trickle down into Tim Burchett and Anna Paulina Luna somewhere along the way. And this whole skiff briefing with all these people, I mean, wow. Look at that lineup: Grusch, Elizondo, Mellon, and Arrow, which means if Arrow's going to be there, most likely Kozlowski's going to be there. And if most likely Kozlowski's going to be there, most likely Susan Go with her laser eyes are going to be there also, because we all know that she's got Kozlowski on a short leash. But that's a whole different story. All right, let's see. To sum up that last bit of information, fellow Lato Files mod Smart Dog says, so after digesting this a bit, here are the facts. Number one, Grusch is on the Luna Task Force as of 4/1/25 per Burleson. Number two, there will be a skiff at the end of April with the following people present. Guests to skiff: Elizondo, Grusch, Mellon, Arrow representative. I'm thinking that's Kozlowski. Don't know for that for sure. Likely to be at the skiff. We also have Luna and Burleson, who might also be there. I mean, we had to have somebody from Congress, I would assume, right? Who knows? All right. So number three says apparently the official digging by the Luna Task Force on UAPs begins 4/1/25 with the onboarding of Grusch. Yes. Number four, Mellon and Elizondo were in Washington yesterday, 3/26, which at this point was a couple days ago, and met with Luna and Burleson to settle up the skiff arrangements for late April per Askapole. We don't have an exact date yet, but hey, late April works for me because it's currently late March, which means it'll happen in about a month. So that's not that long of a time to wait. Number five, Jim Himes, Intelligence Committee, is aware of and currently doing research on Grusch. He says this hits a lot of the things that I have been asking for lately, namely Grusch in a skiff, plus a start date for the Luna Task Force on UAPs. This is actually progress. Smart dog, I agree. Congratulations to us all for getting this kind of progress. It's about time. So, here for all of that. Glad to be able to bring this stuff to you guys, and we will keep you updated on if there is an actual date set for this skiff and then what becomes of it afterwards. So, what do you think David Grusch's new role means for the future of UAP disclosure? What do you think will come out of the April skiff briefing? More secrecy or major revelations? And are Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, and Grusch the dream team we need to break the truth wide open? Sound off in the comments and let us know. Up next, JFK Files finally unsealed. What do they reveal? After decades of secrecy, speculation, and conspiracy theories, the long-awaited John F. Kennedy assassination files have been released. But do they actually tell us what's really happened on November 22nd, 1963? Or is this just another half-truth, highly redacted cover-up? In tonight's show, we'll be diving into the explosive claims made by constitutional lawyer Daniel Sheehan, who was saying that former CIA Director Alan Dulles greenlit the assassination because JFK was secretly trying to dismantle the nuclear arsenal. And just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, we've got comedic relief from Josh Johnson, who is breaking down the madness of the JFK files with some much-needed laughs. Plus, a federal secret task force hearing has been announced. Is this the start of real government transparency or just another bureaucratic black hole? Let's dive in. To kick us off, we have a News Nation clip where we'll hear from Ross Coulthart and Danny Sheehan discussing the recent JFK file release and see if Danny's been able to gain any new knowledge from digging through them.
Okay, so I'd now like to bring in constitutional attorney, lawyer Daniel Sheehan, a civil rights lawyer with a great background running back 50 years, who spent a lot of time investigating the crimes of the CIA exposed during Watergate and the Church Commission. Danny, what comes out of your, I admit it would have to be a very brief analysis of the voluminous documents that have been revealed this week in the JFK documents archive? Have you been able to reach any conclusions?
I initially started going through them sort of one at a time. And as you know, they're not identified. There's no designation of what the content of the document is. They just have these peculiar code that they're coded by. So I started going through them and I started noticing, things that I hadn't known about, particularly before, that the details of different people that they investigated and that they found were, less than totally loyal to the country and all those things. And the fact that they were, surprise, wiretapping the embassy, the Russian embassy, in Mexico City, some things like that I would have assumed to be true anyhow. But that as of right now, we're putting the documents into an AI system so that we can monitor them. We can put them up in text and then search the text. And so there's a few things that I'm focusing on, I know some certain dates and names that I want to pull out of there.
I'm talking to you in the context that you've been very outspoken publicly previously about your view that JFK was the victim of a conspiracy, that essentially the president was murdered in a coup d'etat. And you think that there were people in the CIA who were principally responsible for that coup d'etat. Is there anything in the documents you've seen to date that substantiates that or supports that conclusion?
As of right now, the ones I've found, just in the first 100 of them or so, have not revealed anything particularly new that I didn't know about before.
Why do you believe there was a conspiracy to kill JFK? I mean, let's be clear what we're talking about here. We're talking about a coup d'etat.
Well, when I first became involved in the professional investigation of this in June of 1972, the first thing that I noticed is that the three of the gunmen that are three of the people that were in the Watergate Hotel with James McCord, who was the defendant that our firm was representing, the CIA wiretapping specialist. These are gunmen for Santos Trafficante, the Don of the mafia in Havana. I recognized the guys who they were. And so I said, look at to Lee and the other guy, I said, what the hell are, Trafficante gunmen doing in the Watergate Hotel with these guys? And what we discovered, one of the first things we discovered is that our senior partner, F. Lee Bailey, turned out to be on the payroll of the Central Intelligence Agency. that he was in fact on Index 4. There were 4 lawyers that were on retainer to represent any CIA agent who was caught engaged in covert operations inside the United States, which are totally illegal under the charter. And he was one of the 4, along with Bennett Williams and a fellow named Miller and another fellow. And so that was a surprise to us, even to the investigators. And then second thing we discovered is that one of his secret clients was Santos Trafficante. And so we interviewed Santos Trafficante. We got to interview him directly, and we interviewed him, and he told us all about it. He told us that the reason that his people were in the Watergate Hotel with the CIA wiretapping specialist was to try to find out. They were wiretapping the telephones and electronically bugging the office of Lawrence O'Brien, who had just become the new head of the Democratic National Committee there in the Watergate Hotel. And what happened is Richard Nixon was terrified. And that, so therefore, Richard Nixon, vice president then, got on the phone, the red phone, the secured encrypted phone for the 5412 committee, and called Howard Hughes, because Howard Hughes was a secret consultant to the National Security Council. And the bottom line is that Nixon, in that phone call, asked Howard Hughes to set up a political assassination team to kill Fidel Castro and Raul Castro and Che Guevara. He wanted them assassinated, but he had to be completely kept away from the White House. And so Howard Hughes, what he did is brought in one of his lawyers, Bob Mayhew, and assigned it to Bob Mayhew, saying, look, you got to figure out how we can set up an assassination team to kill Castro.
So Mayhew's role in the commissioning of the US mafia to try to kill Castro, that's one of the so-called family jewels, one of the most important secrets that the CIA has tried to keep for many, many years. It did come out in the documents this week, this admission that the CIA, one of the family jewels that was admitted was the use of Mayhew to make these connections to the US mafia. What I want you to get to, though, is where's the connection to the JFK assassination?
Well, it turns out that's the team that assassinated the president. And Trafficante told us that in late June of 1972. You know, he told Bad Andy Tooney in the interview that, as long as we're under a complete attorney-client confidentiality here, let me tell you, the team that I put together at the request of Richard Nixon back in 1960 to kill Fidel Castro, these are the guys that killed the president. And he explained in detail the reasons how it happened. And that's so we had that information.
Do you think the CIA was knowingly involved in commissioning that attack on the president?
No, they didn't commission the attack. What happened is that Allen Dulles did it. Allen Dulles had already been dismissed by Kennedy as the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, but Dulles remained the actual operational chief. It was Dulles that greenlighted the assassination.
You're saying that 53 years ago, in 1972, you became aware from a mafia boss, Trafficante, that there was a definite collusion between sections of the US government and the US mafia to kill President JFK.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that there was a collusion to kill Fidel Castro, and then what happened is that that was in 1960, okay, and that assassination team continued to be operational all that time. And what happened is when Robert Kennedy, following the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Robert and John Kennedy ordered the closing down of the anti-Castro paramilitary bases that were all through the southeastern United States. But what happened is after the Cuban Missile Crisis, he shut them down. And they viewed that as a total betrayal, and they wanted to kill him. But they didn't dare kill him on their own. But what happened is Allen Dulles authorized them to go ahead and kill the president, because Allen Dulles had discovered that John F. Kennedy, after the Cuban Missile Crisis, was having a secret exchange of letters with Khrushchev. and that they were agreeing together secretly through this back channel that they had going that the CIA didn't know about at all and hadn't authorized, that John Kennedy and Nikita Khrushchev were talking about using their respective executive authorities to start disassembling the nuclear warheads of both nuclear arsenals, because they were both so terrified about how close they'd come to destroying the world during the Cuban Missile Crisis that they both agreed they were going to do this. And Allen Dulles wasn't going to allow that to happen.
Do you think Lee Harvey Oswald was involved in the murder of JFK in any capacity at all?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He had been recruited early on, back when he was in the Marine Corps, in the thing called Operation Redskin. It was codenamed, to pretend that you're a Marxist and try to infiltrate Russian or Marxist organizations, etc. Oswald got recruited, and the whole purpose of Oswald was to take a shot at the caravan, at the Kennedy caravan coming through Dallas. And then when he got caught, he was going to have all these manufactured relations with Russia and with Cuba, hopefully, and they could blame it on them, so they could use that to justify invading the island of Cuba. But once he took one shot at him and didn't hit him, didn't even try to hit him, he fired the shot that hit the curb near the place. And that was what he thought he was doing. He shot that one shot, and all of a sudden, to his amazement, there were other shots rang out, and the whole S-force that had been created by Santos Trafficante to kill Castro as of 1960, they were all there. Almost all of them were there in Dealey Plaza. And the S-force killed the president. And when Oswald realized that he'd been flummoxed, and tried to run, they sent Tippit after him, the Dallas police, and Oswald killed him. He did. I'm sure of that. He killed the Tippit. And that's what he was, in fact, arrested for. He was arrested for killing Tippit to start with.
So who would have thought that JFK's assassination had something to do with CIA tag teaming up with some mafia folks and taking out the president? I mean, that's just wild. That's just wild. I mean, I know that they said that the mafia got together with the CIA to specifically take out Castro, which in itself is wild, but for that same hit team, essentially, to then take out JFK, however many years later, under the permission or go ahead from Dulles, however you say his name. I mean, wow. I mean, wow. Some people are none the wiser to any of this. They really, really think that Lee Harvey Oswald was behind the whole thing, that this guy was acting alone, that he was the lone gunman on the grassy knoll. But meanwhile, back at the Batcave, the CIA is tag teaming up with some mafia folks and taking out the president because he was trying to shut down some nukes, hanging out with the Russian guy, and they were going to work together to take out these nukes, and the CIA was not about to have that, so they decided to eliminate the president, which feels and sounds wild to say. Yikes. Okay, the other thing that Danny Sheehan talked about that I wanted to highlight for you guys was the fact that this was only a small release. There's way more documents that are supposed to be getting released, and there's a lot to go through. They're not organized. Danny Sheehan said that they're not labeled properly, so it's probably a big mess. Now, I personally very, very briefly looked over them. I did not go digging through or anything like that. But it did look like there was a lot and that it would take a lot of effort to go through them all. So I guess that's why Danny Sheehan has recruited the help of some AI bots to help him get through it all. We got about 20,000 pages, I think, of the 80,000 that we're supposed to get in total. So like I said, this is just the first little chunk that they're breaking off. This is just the first slice of bread that they're cutting off and handed to you. So yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have looked at all of these files yet, or if you guys have gleaned any new information out of it. But it definitely seems like a lot to go through. And I was kind of being lazy, not even gonna lie to you. I was just kind of waiting to see who came out with a video about it so that we could talk about that. And just to give you some laughs, because I don't know about you guys, but I love laughing. This next clip from comedian Josh Johnson's video called "What's Crashing Out Harder, Doge or Tesla?" is strictly for the lulz.
I don't know if y'all saw, but Trump released the JFK files, or at least is starting to release the JFK files. And Yeah. It's a lot. He said there's like 80,000 pages or something. I think they've released like anywhere from like 2 to 20,000 already, with more to come and stuff. And I don't know about anybody else, but when it comes to JFK and the conspiracies around his death, those were like some of the first moments that you saw, for at least a wide population of Americans, trust in government and its agencies break. A trust that they've never got back since, where like whole government agencies don't have the trust of the people, because up until then, maybe they classified things, maybe they told the public lies or whatever, but they were things that people felt like they could at least get on with life believing. JFK was the first thing for a lot of people that spawned the real like tinfoil hat stuff, what aren't they telling us sort of thing. And so you would see something like this big release of the files, 20,000 with like 60,000 more to come. And it's kind of crazy that everyone sees that and they're like, nah, I'm good. 80,000 pages? I don't think JFK cares that much. That's 80,000 pages. Game of Thrones isn't 80,000 pages. 80,000 pages is insane. Who would have known the only distance between people and getting to the truth was reading? You know what I mean? We want to know. We as a people have the right to know. It's 80,000 pages. I'm gonna wait till the movie come out.
I'm right there with you, Josh. I'm going to wait for the movie too. I mean, I don't know about waiting for the movie, maybe wait for some YouTube videos about it, but I'm definitely not combing through 20K pages worth of stuff, especially if they're not organized well and redacted to hell. I'll be lazy and let somebody else do it for me. But I mean, if we're getting new information off of this first little slice of bread that they're cutting off for us, I mean, who's to say we're not going to get even more information from the rest of the 60,000 pages that we're supposed to be getting? Now, a lot of people want to see stuff like, the autopsy results. They want to hear from the doctors. They want to compare things. And it seems like those are not available yet, or maybe not going to be at all. I don't know. But yep, we got it. Trump signed the paperwork. He followed through. He followed through with releasing these JFK files. Now, it would be really, really nice if Trump would follow through with talking about UAPs, and it would be really, really nice if Trump told us WTF was really going on with these drones. Because first he's like, oh, we don't know what they are. This is a problem. He has the meeting with the mayors. All these people are telling him this is happening in my state. This is happening in my city. This has been going on for months. This is a problem. They're going over military installations, da 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 yada yada, blah 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 blah. And then they put Trump in office, and he was supposed to come out with an official statement about what was going on day one, but instead we heard from, can't even remember her name at this point, but a representative of the White House came out and basically made a statement saying that they know what these drones are. They were all FAA approved because they were doing research and development type of stuff. But that doesn't make sense. And not to mention, the drone flap is still going on. Ross is still tweeting about it. I saw one just a few hours ago where he's talking about how this drone thing is ongoing. So, all right, let me get off that soapbox real quick, because Trump's following through with some stuff, but completely falling through the cracks with the other. So it is what it is. All right, to finish off this story right, we have a tweet from D. Dean Johnson that says, Federal Secrets Task Force, hearing April 1st. The Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets, Representative Luna is the chair of the U.S. House Oversight Committee, will hold its first public hearing on April 1st, 2025 at 2 p.m. EDT on the JFK Files. Now, I'm sure that event is going to be live streamed from themselves. However, just like always, there's probably going to be content creators that are live streaming it also. So make sure you find where you want to hang out and join up with that. So are you excited to dive into all 80,000 pages of the JFK assassination files, or are you with comedian Josh Johnson and just going to wait for the movie to come out? Do you believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, or was he part of a bigger operation? And do you think the Federal Secrets Task Force hearing will actually reveal anything, or is it just going to be more smoke and mirrors? Let us know in the comment section below. Up next, radar unlocks secrets beneath Giza's Great Pyramid. The pyramids of Giza have long held secrets beneath their towering stone facades, and now advanced technology is helping uncover those hidden wonders. Recent findings from a cutting-edge synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, Doppler tomography study revealed that mysterious internal structures deep within the Great Pyramid of Giza, specifically the Khafre Pyramid. These discoveries suggest unexplored chambers, resonators, and even hidden water management systems that could fundamentally change how we understand these ancient monuments. What's even more mind-blowing, researchers believe these structures are tied together in an intricate system that might have been used for advanced acoustic manipulation or even controlled flooding, a far cry from what we've traditionally learned about ancient Egypt. Join us as we break down these groundbreaking revelations and ask, what secrets are hidden under the sands of Giza? Could they point to a higher tech civilization from a distant past? To kick us off, we'll first hear from Jay Anderson of Project Unity, the guy that basically broke this whole thing to the UFO community and the internet.
Wow, so there has been a lot of surprise and shock and skepticism, all of which is understandable in relationship to the Khafre project and the claimed findings on the Giza Plateau and the Khafre Pyramid regarding these substructural engineering components that go deep into the ground and potentially across the Giza Plateau in general. Like I said, a lot of skepticism. And I was very excited when these claims first came out. That video has since gone extremely viral, even featuring on Joe Rogan. But there's actually been a lot of updates from the team over in Italy. They've now released the 4-hour press conference where they go through all of the details of their findings. So there's been a lot of critiques, and I mean a lot of critiques, including coming from the mainstream media and the mainstream academic sector, about direct EM penetration and ground penetrating radar, how there is no ground penetrating radar that can go 2 kilometers into the rock. And that's absolutely right. But that's not what's being claimed by the team. The team is not claiming the SAR technology, which stands for synthetic aperture radar. They're not claiming that SAR is penetrating 2 kilometers of rock. Instead, their method proposes that SAR technology is detecting secondary surface deformations caused by deep mechanical resonance, not direct EM wave reflections, right? So they're picking up on resonances coming from underground structures and measuring that acoustic resonance, that reverberation. It's not penetrating deep into the ground. It's penetrating quite shallow into the ground, which is typical for these systems, picks up on acoustic and reverberatory energy and uses that to model what could be underneath the ground, causing these reverberations. SAR technology already measures surface deformations within millimeter scale precision, using interferometric techniques, also known as INSAR. That's how we monitor earthquake zones and volcanic inflation. If there were deep voids beneath the Giza Plateau, which are resonating, the surface could experience these subtle periodic displacements, like detectable energy that would be picked up through the SAR technology. So when they're picking up on these reverberations, it's being caused by structures below ground that are transmitting this reverberatory energy up to the surface. The satellite scans the surface, not the depth, and picks up on the reverberation, which it's able to model. It's able to figure out through very, complex computational algorithms the model of what exactly is reverberating under the ground. Now, the Giza Plateau specifically is geophysically unique. Limestone and granite are known for their acoustic and piezoelectric properties. Limestone and granite make up the majority of the Giza Plateau. Now, granite contains high quartz content, which responds to mechanical stress by generating electric fields, which is also known as piezoelectric effects. Piezoelectric, naturally induced, naturally created electricity. Resonant voids underground within the Giza Plateau could actually stimulate mechanical stress in these piezoelectric geoenergetic rocks, these piezoelectric materials, limestone and granite, which would create these surface-coupled oscillations through the piezoelectric effect. Now, the pyramid's precise geometry could actually enhance wave reflection and standing wave formation, essentially acting as a mechanical amplifier for deep resonance. Are you still following me? periodic signals are far easier to extract from noise using statistical and signal processing techniques. This is where the algorithms come into play, the AI integration, using these new technologies that weren't available in 2022 to do these new studies and analyze data in a completely different way. And again, the thing about the Giza Plateau is it's geophysically unique in terms of what it's made out of. The materials that it's made out of are unique and extremely important for this type of a study. The combination of resonant granite and limestone and piezoelectric properties, the geometric resonance from the pyramids, and deep voids underneath the plateau that could be acting as essentially Helmholtz resonators, which actually creates the perfect environment for this kind of coupling that they're doing with the Doppler shift and the SAR technology and analyzing the subsurface resonance. It all actually is prime real estate on the Giza Plateau for this exact type of study. And what they're showing to us, what they're confident in, the team is still very confident in this. If confirmed, it would open a whole new field of planetary scale geophysics and blending seismology and radar physics and material science into a very different approach to archaeology, which is fascinating. So yeah, if beyond these methods, the scientists behind this type of technological integration who's on the team, if they hold up, it's not a minor discovery. It's a pretty paradigm shifting method in how we understand geophysical coupling and ancient engineering and subsurface imaging. Many of the critiques do kind of fall apart due to the assumptions of the systems and the methods being deployed and assuming conventional geophysics. But Giza's geological materials and its architectural conditions are anything but conventional. This is a very unique site, and they're using very unique methods. So I think we have to look at this in a unique way and not in a conventional methodology way, because that's not what's being deployed to come up with these findings. They still need to fully evidence these findings. How they will get any sort of digging permission, I do not know. I can't imagine that they will be getting any sort of digging permission from the Egyptian government. But more of these scans need to be done. As the technology evolves, maybe we'll get higher image fidelity. But again, I would really urge people to, not blindly just believe it. Definitely not just blindly believe it. But don't just dismiss this on the basis of it coming out in the way it's come out.
All right, so shout out to Jay Anderson from Project Unity for breaking this story to us. That video that we just watched was a clip that I took of his update video. So he released it, the internet went wild, and the video that we just watched was his update video addressing the basic concerns that people have come up with or expressed and are talking about since the initial release. Everybody's like, oh, that type of technology can't penetrate the ground, that it can't read that far under the earth. That it's not like something that can go deep within the earth and get readings from, but that's cool and great, but that's not what's happening. Basically, they're saying that they're picking up vibrational, acoustic vibrations that are coming up to the surface, and they're reading that the hustle and bustle from the city is basically causing vibrations, and then they're able to pick up those reverbs that are coming up through the ground. So I thought that was really cool that he addressed that. I also agree with Jay that I really, really, really don't think that the Egyptian government is going to give anybody digging permission. You have to. It's very rare that people get the opportunity to dig, and I think that's kind of by design. You know me, I'm always thinking like, why would they be doing that kind of thing? So I think that they don't want people digging, for obvious reasons of ruining the site. But I think there's probably a bigger reason of they don't want people discovering all the things that are down there and what that means and who built it and how they used it and what we're not doing that we could be doing as a human species that they were doing back then. But anyways, all right, next we'll hear from UAP Society's Captain Chris Lato, where he shares his analysis of this discovery and its potential implications for mankind.
Could a radar on a satellite actually crack a 1,000-year mystery of the pyramids? Could it see under the Giza pyramids? That's synthetic aperture radar, and I used that tech in my F-16 for years. And initially, when I heard the story, I thought it was ridiculous. There's no way that radar could see underground. But then when I actually looked into the researchers' claims, specifically their 2022 paper, I thought, wow, it blew my mind. It's pretty amazing. This could actually be technically feasible. So I asked my electronic warfare buddy back from F-16s, and he agreed and thought, this actually does sound technically feasible. It would be new. I trekked through Egypt along with Ross Coulthart on a tour last November, and the biggest thought I had is these pyramids are machines. There's no way that they are tombs. Like I said, initially sounded nuts, but when you look into it, it's not as crazy as it sounds. So in late 2024, Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi claimed Italy's Cosmo SkyMed satellite, a 4-satellite X-band SAR constellation at 619 kilometers altitude detected 8 vertical cylindrical shafts, 648 meters deep, 10 to 15 meters wide, beneath the Khafra pyramid. That's the middle one. We called it the Chinese pyramid actually on the tour because it's not as aligned or as perfectly made as the Great Pyramid. They also said there were spiral pathways and 5 80-meter cubic chambers deep underground. Like I said at the beginning, when I first heard this, I looked at it and heard SAR. How can you SAR map underground? Radar energy doesn't penetrate, right? And if you hear experts talking about ground penetrating radar as well, it's much lower band, right? They're not going to get good resolution and they can only go 15 to 30 meters. So initially, I totally wrote this off, right? But then a friend of mine said, hey, maybe you should check it out. And then I started looking into it and finally kind of blew my mind. So I ask you to have an open mind here and think that this actually could be technically feasible. So the researchers' March 15, 2025 press release says it's a 2-kilometer subterranean network under Giza's 3 pyramids. This builds on their 2022 paper that's a peer-reviewed paper in remote sensing using SAR Doppler tomography on the Great Pyramid. That was what really interesting to me. So it's not just SAR that they're using SAR tomography. They processed 9.375 gigahertz signals. That's actually close to what the F-16 used. We were at near 8. That's 3.2 centimeters of wavelength. So claiming micro vibrations, 0.01 to 0.1 millimeter is what they could actually claim to pick up coming off of the pyramid. From Cairo's bustle or seismic hum revealed these internal structures. So basically there's vibrations under the ground. And what they can tell is tiny micro vibrations. They claim 0.01 to 0.1 millimeter vibrations from all the bustle of Cairo coming through the ground. And now by sensing those little tiny vibrations, they can determine the actual makeup of underground structures. Of course, this is against all mainstream archaeology. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities will not dig. So they're probably not going to dig, which might be the only way we can definitively prove it in the short term. So the basic argument, it's not radar penetrating 600 meters. That's the misunderstanding here. It's actually surface vibrations giving echoes of deep features. And if you have a satellite that's tracking many different kilometers in space, right, totally different viewpoints, perspectives now, the argument is you can actually detect and using advanced processing, figure out what's underground. It's pretty mind-blowing. So this would be new tech. I get the skepticism, but we have to look at it with an open mind. I think it is technically possible. And again, this isn't ground penetrating radar. So GPR, you may have seen experts chime in on X, et cetera, saying it's not possible. They operate from 10 megahertz to 2.6 gigahertz, so much lower frequency, much bigger wavelength. So that penetrates 30 meters right into dry rock. But that's pretty much the cap, is you can only see 30 meters down. Again, it's penetrating right through the rock again. So the twist is these guys are using SAR Doppler tomography. Doppler is the change in frequency of the vibrations, right? So Cosmos SkyMed's 9.375 gigahertz pulses hit Giza every 16 days. So it comes back around on their satellite path. They are going 7.5 kilometers a second in orbit. And Doppler shift is the key. So this frequency changes from motion. What got me thinking this is even possible is if you ever wonder why secret facilities don't have any windows. Have you ever asked that question? Why are skiffs all black boxes with no windows? Well, it's not just so you can't see in, right? You can make a window so you can't see in. Obviously, they have those one-way windows. What they did in the Cold War, pretty amazing trick, is they would shoot a laser at the window, right? And shoot a laser at the window, and it can pick up tiny vibrations on the window. So you could actually hear what was going on inside. You could pick up the actual words by shining a laser from a red up to 100 meters away onto a window and actually hear what's going on inside that room. You can pick up the sound vibrations inside the room, again, using this Doppler. I guess it's a type of tomography, right? You're using light to actually track the Doppler shift coming off the window of the acoustic vibrations. So it's 2 modalities is what you're using. You're using a light modality to pick up acoustical vibrations based on the Doppler shift. And that's effectively what they're doing. They're doing the same thing here. Is they're using light, SAR energy, different frequency than a laser, right? It's not optical or UV is, I believe, what they used. Instead, they're using 9.375 gigahertz light but it's the same technique. So they're bouncing it off the ground using a wide aperture radar from a satellite. And now using advanced processing, they're arguing that they can pick up underground structures and actually identify them like a CT scan, effectively stacking into a CT scan to get an underground map. And that's what they're calling this Doppler tomography. So think laser vibrometry, that's from Polytech, but Earth's surface is the window. USGS seismic resolves kilometers, so they can look down 1 kilometer near stations, so they can pick up seismic vibrations in the Earth. This isn't an unheard of phenomenon. It's just they can't do it at those resolutions, and they're using very low wavelengths because they're actually detecting the wavelengths themselves. But now this technique, they're aiming for meters. So Hawass from Egypt, the main Egyptologist there, says, oh, no way, it's impossible. NASA SAR agrees. They say penetration's nil. But my EW buddy is signal hunting. It's possible, but unproven. And you can imagine if this is a real technique, there are huge military ramifications, right? If you can actually just see into your adversary's underground systems, you can see where their underground bunkers are. You can see where their missile silos are. And if you know about that tech, you're definitely not going to share it because they can do the same thing. Imagine using this technique on Area 51, for instance. Oh, man. Yeah, like I said, I don't speak on behalf of the US government, and I wasn't read into any of this stuff.
All right, shout out Chris Lato. Thank you for giving us your analysis on that. I thought that was a really cool piece of information to include in this show because, Chris is or was an F-16 fighter pilot. So he has experience using these technologies. So I figure if anybody should be talking about how you can use them and what they're used for, it would be him, somebody that actually did. So thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. And Chris did go to Egypt recently with the whole Ross Colt Heart tour. So that was really cool for him to be able to mention that again. I thought that the thing with the CIA shining a laser through the window to pick up on the acoustic vibrations, to hear what the people in the room were talking about was a really, really cool analogy to this whole satellite, Earth underneath the Giza situation, because, they're very similar, not exactly the same things, but they're similar enough that, like, if you understand the concept of one, you can understand the concept of the other. So there was that. And yeah, I'm really excited about these kinds of discoveries. I really, really think that the truth is coming to the surface, like quite literally. And I'm here for it. This is an exciting time to be alive on Earth, and we're all here together. So let's check these things out and let's celebrate when they happen. And we'll be keeping you guys updated about this if there are any more discoveries or findings or conclusions that come from this. All right, so do you think the use of SAR technology will lead to more discoveries of hidden chambers beneath other iconic monuments around the world? Do you agree with the idea that the pyramids were potentially designed as resonators or acoustic devices? What could this tell us about ancient knowledge of sound and energy? What do you think the implications of these new discoveries are for the future of Egyptology and how we study ancient civilizations? Make sure to go to the Lato Files Discord server and share your thoughts with the community there. An invite link can be found in the video description box below, along with all of the other sources that are featured in the show in the order that they appear, so make sure to check that out. Next on the docket, Mars update. NASA finds organic compounds and the search for ancient life continues. Last week, we dove headfirst into the red planet mysteries with our story, Was There an Ancient War on Mars? We explored mind-blowing theories about a lost Mars civilization, possible nuclear devastation, and the eerie evidence left behind. But guess what? The Mars saga just got even wilder. Dr. John Brandenburg just drops a tweet hinting that NASA is inching towards a major announcement, one that could confirm life once existed on Mars. And if that wasn't enough, NASA's Curiosity rover has now uncovered the largest organic compounds ever found on the red planet. These were found in an ancient lake bed that billions of years ago had all the right conditions for life. So, is this soft disclosure we've been waiting for? Are we being slowly prepared for the ultimate truth that we are not alone? And how does this all connect to last week's theories of an ancient Martian civilization? Buckle up because we're diving deep into this explosive update. That tweet from Dr. John Brandenburg says, Dear friends, we are getting closer to a NASA announcement of life in Mars's past. This is a milestone on the path of soft disclosure to the public that we are not alone. To Mars and then the stars. Next, I'll read you the highlights of that attached article called NASA Rover Discovers Largest Organic Compounds Yet Found on Mars article. Starting off, NASA's Curiosity rover has found the largest organic compounds ever seen on Mars, raising tantalizing questions about whether life emerged on the red planet billions of years ago. The compounds were detected in a 3.7 billion year old rock sample collected in Yellowknife Bay, an ancient Martian lake bed that harbored all the necessary ingredients for life in the planet's warmer, wetter past. Tests on board the rover found that the rock contained long-chain alkanes, organic molecules thought to be remnants of fatty acids. The compounds can be made by lifeless chemical reactions, but are crucial constituents of cell membranes in all living organisms on Earth. The researchers do not claim to have found a biosignature, a smoking gun, indicating life was once present, but one expert said the material represented the best chance that scientists have ever had for identifying remains of life on Mars. These molecules can be made by chemistry or biology, said Dr. Caroline Frescient, an analytical chemist who led the research at the Atmospheres and Space Observations Laboratory in Guyancourt near Paris. If we have long-chain fatty acids on Mars, those could come, and it's only one hypothesis, from membrane degradation of cells present 3.7 billion years ago. The article continues on to say, the finding suggests at the very least that organic signatures of life can be preserved in Martian rock for billions of years, bolstering hopes that should life ever have emerged on the planet, its remnants might still be found. And to conclude, the findings reported in this paper present the best chance we have for identifying the remains of life on Mars, said Ellier. But sealing the deal absolutely requires return of such samples to Earth. All right, so there you have it, guys. Last week we were hypothesizing that there could be or could have been life on Mars. Many, many years ago, we talked about remote viewer number 1, Joe McMoneagle, remote viewing Mars and seeing that, there was ancient civilizations there. He saw buildings, he saw all different kinds of things. And we also heard from Deepak Chopra and Dava Newman talk about, how there could potentially be chemical compounds or things, organic compounds on Mars that could indicate that life was there at some point in time. And now here we are, literally like not even a week later, and we have this update from Dr. John Brandenburg saying basically that NASA is going to announce that. So, hey, I guess I was onto something last week. All right. So could this discovery be the missing link that ties into ancient Mars civilization theories? Do you believe NASA has known about this for a long time, but is only just now releasing it to us? If we could confirm that life did exist on Mars, what do you think the next step should be? Sound off in the comment section below and let us know. And that concludes this week's UAP Society's weekly UAP News Show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And while you're here, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity. All right, peeps, much love, peace, and namaste.
Spaceship.